Hey everybody, I was listening to a podcast from Ryan D. Lee, the Passive Income Machine, and he was talking about money and saving for retirement, and something resonated with me. He said, begin with the end in mind. Now, I'm a teacher, and I know what that's all about. I know starting with the end in mind. This is how I lesson plan. What do I want my kids to do, right? Um, and so if you think about it for a second, what do you actually want with your finances, right? So most of us are told go to work for 30 years and put money away and do a 401k and hope that it works out. And but Ryan challenged this. He basically said, plan what you want at the end and then build backwards from there. That's basically what he said. And as a teacher, that mindset hit home, right? I always tell my students when we start projects, what do you want to make? Now, how do we get to that, right? Maybe you have to learn something else. Because I'm an art teacher. And so, what do you want to make? What skills do you already have? What do you need to learn? What materials do you have experience with? So that helps them to get to that end goal. And so, why wasn't I thinking about this with my finances? So Ryan also talked about what he calls sell-off investments. And these are things like a 401k and stocks. When it's time to access your money, you sell it off. And then you pay taxes. And sometimes you pay a lot of taxes. So basically, the more successful you are, the higher tax burden you're going to have. And that just doesn't sound fun to me. That sounds kind of dumb. Then I remembered hearing about a story of Apple. This was a couple years ago, how they went and borrowed against themselves. They took out a loan against themselves. And I'm like, why would $1 trillion company borrow against itself? And then it hit where I'm like, oh, if they were to sell their stocks to get this extra money, they're going to be smashed with a really high tax bill versus just borrowing against their stocks. Yeah, you might have to pay a little bit lower interest rate, but it's nothing compared to the stocks. Plus, you keep the stocks and they continue to grow. It made me realize then that there was different ways to retire and access your money. Not everything has to be sell, tax, and hope that it lasts all through your retirement. And that's where Ryan's equity mill comes in. Now, I would recommend you go watch the podcast as he goes deep into it. I left it down in the description below. But it's about accessing your money, it's about building assets and borrowing against it, not selling it. And these are things like real estate, life insurance, and other assets that cash flow and grow. My wife and I are out here in Kansas because we've got a real estate project that we're working on. This isn't just about investing, but this is a strategy. So if you're a teacher, a parent, or anyone just trying to figure out your financial future, I highly encourage you to take a step back and ask, what do you want in the end? And then build backwards from there. Ryan D. Lee helped me see money in a totally different way. It isn't just about retirement talk, but it's a mindset shift. So this is something that can change everything. So once again, I left that down in the description below. Go check it out and let me know what you think. Leave a comment for me. We'll see you next time.